Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. It is Monday, the 25th of October, 2021. Welcome to Hindsight, episode 23, where we learn to be a better trader. We're going to take a look at the stocks that I've traded today in hindsight, see what went well in order to replicate that success, and see what went poorly in order to avoid those mistakes down the track in the future. Now, as always, I'm not a financial advisor, and this should not be taken as financial advice. First things first is AQI on the daily here. We have world-class intersection of 87 meters at 5.3% zinc. Now, world-class is a pretty rampy headline, and that might be true. I'm not too sure because zinc isn't really a commodity that's heavily traded. However, checking on the spot price, zinc is near its all-time highs, so it's nice to see a commodity at its highs, something that we don't trade too often. And that alone gives me nice confidence about trading this stock on the match, just that alone. Plus 87 meters of anything with a medium to high intersect is really, really, really good. So normally we get 10 meters here, 5 meters there, but no, we have a nice big fat 87 meters. 5.3% is somewhere between medium and high grade, and the silver, just completely neglect the silver. And having calculated this, I can also tell that the residual grade, so 86.8 at 5.3, including 2.1 at 36.4, doing the math, calculating that, you know, the remainder, if you took out this 21 meters at 36% zinc, is somewhere around 4.5% for the rest of the drill intercept at around 84.7 meters. So really, really, really good intercept, not heavily smeared at all. The downside, and I'll talk about the downside a little bit later, but first things first is the play. It was a match trade immediately. I had a bit of resistance. There was a bit of reloading at 17.5 and 18, and it just pushed through, right? The gap up wasn't that big from 13 to 16, so that gave me the confidence to buy in as well. And also the last couple of days, speckies have been really, really fucking hot. Really hot. So no exception here. Bought it on match, scaled in a little bit more at 17.5, and just kept scaling in when I kept seeing that there was absolutely no sell pressure. It was really people just reloading the sell side, but in size that was considered quite small, pretty much retail volume reloading. And yeah, it shot up, closed them out at 19.5. I can't remember why, but I do remember it was order book based, that decision, and then scaled out pretty much everything at 21, and then whatever residual I had left at 20.5. So really, really, really happy with that trade. Now, the downside is I was waiting for the pullback, and there was also VWAP. So I scaled in with small size, and my plan was to see what happened at VWAP. I wanted to get something at 19, right? This is not even comparable to my opening size and my scale ins. I just wanted something here at 19. And to see if this would consolidate and then go for another rally. That was the plan. That was the decision making at the time. And then it kept pulling back. And I thought, okay, well, let's scale in a bit more at 18. And went a bit harder at, I think it was 18.5 and then 18, because I don't recall buying 17.5. Saw the tick up. Attempted pushback up, but it didn't even get to VWAP and then just failed. So I had to scale out on the way down as it was coming out slowly with what little size I had. The plan was to go heavy on a high volume pop, a long consolidation here, but you know, going below VWAP, not that crash hot. You know, I was thinking maybe there's going to be a reversal at some point. I'll scale in a little bit more. But I learned my lesson from previously trading these kinds of setups, that I shouldn't get a bias. I know that the world-class zinc sounds really good, and by the time I closed my position, I think I gave about maybe 35, a little over 35% back of the profits from this move in the morning. So I gave a very decent chunk back to the market. I went back to the announcement, and then I realized historical assays, right? Historical assays are so bullshit, man. No one cares about historical assays. I can't actually believe I did not see this. I just saw the headline, I saw the highlights, and that was it. I was done. That was my due diligence. And yeah, I'm going to learn from this mistake, because had I noticed historic assays, I never would have even considered re-entering, right? Never have historical assays ever moved a stock and actually held its value. It just doesn't happen. It just does not happen. Now, you might be looking at this point here, historical drilling, never previously viewed in the public domain. So one could assume that this is almost as good, if not as good, as fresh drill results, right? Because this is the first time the public is aware of this. So it may as well be fresh drill results. The reality is the market does not give a shit about historical drilling. They don't. They never have. They never will. So that was my mistake, is the poor due diligence on this one, just not reading the announcement to completion and jumping ahead of the gun. But I'm really happy, at the very least, that I did not size in with the belief that, my opinions, my views on the fundamentals did not cloud my judgment to trade. Once the opening action was done, then there's the pullback, I stuck to the technicals. At that point, fundamentals in my head, at the back of my head was, well, this will pop to the upside, is what I was thinking. It's like, well, I just got to trade this technically to the upside and I'll be perfectly fine. So scale in a little bit. And then when it failed, it's just, I really was confused until I reread the announcement. I was like, oh, this fucking makes sense. So a bit of a mistake there, but again, a lot of learnings about that one. I'm more or less just really, really happy about how I played the second part of this trade. Considering the fact that I was blind to the actual fundamentals, otherwise I would never have taken a second trade. So really happy with the outcome, even with the mistake. ITM, this is one that moved on Friday. This was the one that I was paying attention to, popped, consolidated, had a little bit of a move, ended up catching a little bit, I can't remember, 26.5 to like 27.5 or something like that. I barely got a couple of ticks because I was looking at this consolidation here that looked really nice on Friday. But today, it came on my radar again once it broke this level, and I waited for the pullback. I was waiting for a pullback and then a break. It didn't happen here, so why would it happen here? Silly me, didn't just market buy when I saw this opportunity, but I did spot this consolidation and this pullback as it was happening. So basically, I just want to see any signs of green and then just pile in on it. So I got 32.5 and 33 around this level here. I'm not too interested in getting the exact pinpoint of where I entered. I know at the crux, roughly, where I entered, and it was at this level here, and the decision making behind it was the volumes kind of came in, held it up, and that was my interest in the stock. I wanted to see it crack above here, and I of course tweeted this one out as well. I tweeted my entry out was 32.5 plus 32, I believe it was, and a stop loss at 31 and 30.5, if I remember that tweet correctly. And really, I was just looking for a break here. It broke to the upside and ended up taking profits at 36.5 and just scaled out because it just refused to kick in with volumes. I think I might have scaled out a portion at 36 as well, but it just failed and then just tanked and it was done. So this setup, I wasn't expecting too much because there was no fundamentals behind it. There was no news catalyst to drive this further than, say, breach this level, consolidate at this level, break to the upside, and then maybe retest 37 here. And if it pumps again, then I'd really have to look into the stocks. Like, are these guys doing lithium? Are these guys doing nickel, cobalt? But I'd rather not cloud my judgment on it. I just want to trade the technicals. So that was, a missed opportunity here because I was watching it. And, it is what it is. Happy to have gotten this trade here to the upside and identified the volume taper off and the fact that there was no fundamental drive behind it, at least not that I'm aware of. AZL. Now this one, I know next to nothing about it until it was heading towards the end of the day. I found out that apparently, and this is just speculation here, is that this stock moved on the back of lithium carbonate in China, or the spot price in China. So we have a massive drive to the upside. There was a speeding ticket by the ASX on Friday, and there was nothing really of interest in that announcement. So what we have is a gap up. Now, we have a stock that's been running for 8 days straight on rising volumes, and today just happened to have a massive volume as well. Well, the biggest volume out of all the days. This could almost be seen like a blow off top of sorts. Now, 9.9 and 9.8 were the short entries. That's what I got. And I was planning to short at 10.05 if it got up there as well. So I had no long positions on this one, just short side. And there was so much behind this, right? AZL, there was several reasons that all lined up. First, 10 cents magnet. I was talking about the 10 cent magnet in my previous video. Was it the previous video or the video before that? I was telling you guys exactly what we were talking about. The 9.9, 10, and 10.5 levels, and how there's a magnet to these levels. And so that's it really. You know, this has high shares on issue. It's rallied all the way from like 4 cents to 10 cents. So 10 cents is a massive short level, right? Or a level to take profit. Either or. That's how I do it. Secondly, this has 1.7 billion shares on issue. You know what stocks are incredible to short? High shares on issue stocks. AZL, 1.7 billion shares. So I've got two things lining up for me, right? Third thing is there was no fundamentals whatsoever. No news announcement, no nothing to justify this at all, whatsoever. So I felt extremely comfortable in shorting this. And the fourth thing was there was props. Right, really fucking strong props on the bid. If I recall off the top of my head, and you guys can go back on Spark and watch this, if you have the replay functionality, is 9.7 and 9.6 both had roughly 6 to 7 million shares on the bid. Right, the sell side might have had 1.5 mil. The buy side looked heavily propped, right? Lots of fake orders. I think about 7 mil out of those two lines got pulled all at once. So what happens, guys, when there's prop bids that get pulled? How many times have I said it? When you spot a prop and it actually gets pulled, that is the vast majority of the time, that is the top, right? Maybe like 95% of the time, that is the absolute top. There's a rare instance where this could go down a little bit and then swing back up. And then it's just going to be a short again from 10 and 10.5. So that's the play for this one. Everything lined up for AZL. Absolutely everything lined up for me. Now, you guys also know, if you've been watching my content, is I love 9.2 pullback. When a stock hits 10 and then catching the 9.2 for a long, that is the target every day of the week. But there are conditions to hitting the 9.2 and going long. For me, that condition is there's fundamental analysis. There's a stock, there's a news catalyst behind the stock that justifies this move on this particular day. So today on Monday, no news. Friday, no news. Thursday, I don't even know if Thursday had news. At that point, I don't even care. That's too far away. So even if Friday had news, I still wouldn't consider 9.2 a pullback target. You know, there's a horizontal level here at 9.4 because I can't draw in straight lines. And then 9.2 is always the bounce target, given there is catalyst news. And even if the stock was to fail, it'd hit 9.2, maybe rally up to 9.8, 9.9, and then fail. That's usually what happens on, catalyst news events where maybe the news isn't strong enough to push it into the teens or anything like that. So really strong. Unfortunately, I got a little bit greedy. I did scale out at around VWAP. So I can't remember if it was 9.3 or 9.2. I'm pretty sure it was 9.3. A good chunk scale out here. And then I let it go. So I took some here. I let it go. Saw VWAP coming. No shorts available at 9.2 again. Couldn't reshort. Couldn't add on anything. It popped above it. At this point, I was out on lunch. Saw it came, pull back. And I had a really wide stop at like 9.7. And then at this point in time, I was like, oh, for fuck's sake, we've broken VWAP to the upside and it's bouncing off the VWAP, or it's holding. So it's just chilling above VWAP. And at that point, it's really frustrating because it's just not going to go down. It's got its opportunity here to crack to the downside, do a little bit of a fake out above VWAP, and then come crashing down. It didn't happen. This is what usually happens on a highly liquid stock: is break back above VWAP, bounce, and then rally. But for some reason we ended up, I think there's just no fundamentals, is just sideways. I did end up catching, and I believe it's because of this person here. Shorts were available again at 9.6. I got lucky to get 96 and 96.5 or 96.25. I forget what the midpoint is. I'm pretty sure it's 96.5. So when 96 was on the bid, there was a center point trade at 96.5, and I luckily enough got filled at that point as well, but you can't see it on the charts because this is ASX data, not GX data. I ended up closing out a large portion of my trade here at 9.3. I'm not sure why it's showing 9.4 close, because the auction price is actually, here we go, got to put the extended on TradingView, 9.3. So I closed out the bulk of my position here on AZL from the short, and I was happy. I got a good chunk here at 9.6, but really I think that was a bit of dumb luck. I'm still hell-bent on the idea of this short. We'll see what happens tomorrow. Tomorrow's going to be key. I don't think it rallies to 10. If it does, if it gaps up, I think I'm going to close it straight away. If it gaps down, I'll leave it alone. If it gaps down, rallies to 9.3, I'll be shorting again at 9.3 if shorts are available, and then watching it sink to the downside. So this is kind of the play, is gap down, rally to 9.3, and then fail is kind of what I'm anticipating. And of course, this is a key level here, 8.6. Next is PDN. Apparently the quarterly is what caused it to rally today. I was unaware of the quarterly. In fact, I still haven't seen the quarterly, so I don't know anything about it. What I do know is that the nationals were talking about uranium and nuclear energy yesterday. No, sorry, last night. They were talking about it last night, and quite extensively as well. It was covered. So I thought this rally might have been on the back of that kind of sentiment, the positive sentiment that came out of that, despite the fact that ScoMo will absolutely under no circumstances, for whatever reason, deal with nuclear energy or uranium or anything of that sort. Me personally, I'm not opposed to nuclear. I'm not opposed to that kind of energy source. I couldn't care less, to be honest. My issue is PDN, I believe, is strongly overvalued. So caught it here, actually front-sided it here at 97.5 and ended up coming back down, thankfully. I was planning on holding overnight, and the reason for the hold is because this rally felt like a nothing rally. Like, what really caused this move to the upside? We've got the ETF. Yeah, looking mighty ugly. I'd be extremely surprised if we saw a green candle shoot to the upside. And if it does, then so be it. Whatever, just close out the PDN short. It's not going to be a big deal, because what we have as well is the Sprott uranium price as well. And that's just not looking crash hot. Just, it always opens high, and then just gets sold off with my terrible drawings there. So that's really the analysis for today. I know I've droned on a little bit, but there was actually a lot to talk about, a lot to justify for my positions. And really, these videos are for me. All right, this is my video log of me doing my report writing, except in video form. Talk to you guys. I may as well share the information, show you guys to justify my position, what went well, what went wrong, and what could have been done better. So this is my version of journaling, basically. So I hope you guys at least got something out of that. If you did, please do let me know. And otherwise, guys, I'll catch you next time. Peace.